Thank you for joining this evening. We are recording this presentation, and that's so we can make it available to people afterwards online to review at their own leisure. But there's an opportunity, we'll stop the recording before sort of questions and discussions at the end. So thank you very much for joining this month's DLUHC online Q&A about the Grenfell Tower site. There's an opportunity for members of the community to hear the latest and ask any questions. We will run it as a sort of run through of slides and a relatively sort of formal presentation, but there are opportunities to put questions in the chat. There's a little speech bubble at the top of your bar as on the screen as we go through. And also, if you wish to speak at any point, you can turn your microphone on or off, but preference that we save questions for the end, if that's okay, and anyone else can then obviously join during the presentation. So as I say, this is one of our monthly regular opportunities to hear the latest about the site and ask any questions. We will run through kind of the position on the decision making on the future of the tower and also the latest safety works, a reminder about health and wellbeing opportunities within the local community, and also an opportunity to hear from our principal contractor and local opportunities for getting involved in those discussions. And happy to take questions on any issue of interest or concern, and we can do that at the end. So if I could start by introducing this evening's panel. My name is Suzanne Kokonowski. I am a civil servant in the Department for Levelling Up Housing and Communities, DLUHC, and I've worked for the government on the response to the Grenfell Tower fire since it took place. I'm joined this evening by Steve Jones from DUK, who are the principal contractor for the Grenfell Tower site, and he will explain a bit more about the work that they are doing later on. Matt Hogan, who is the site manager at the Grenfell Tower site, and my colleague Anjani Patel, who works in our community engagement team, particularly liaising with local residents. So just to give a bit of a brief update about decision making on the future of the tower. You may have heard from us earlier in the year when we were running engagement events, particularly to talk about the safety information that continues to be in the public domain. We published it in May for anyone who wishes to review that. But we had a new Secretary of State appointed in September. As part of his induction and new role, he has been very keen to meet with bereaved families, survivors and local residents, and he has done that since he joined in September. So a number of meetings took place at the end of September and into early October, and he has written to families as a result of those with his reflections. There's been no decision yet on the tower, and indeed he wishes to continue to have community discussions to inform himself and ensure that he is clear on views from those most affected before a decision is taken. And we expect to write to families as soon as possible with next steps once we've heard a bit more from them and been able to set out where we're at and likely timeframes. And I'm very happy to discuss that in more detail at the end of the presentation. I'll now hand over to Matt, who is going to talk a bit about the latest works on the site.
Thanks, Suzanne. Good evening. If you haven't been able to join one of these sessions previously, I'm Matt and I lead the site management team working on site with the contractors. So I'm going to talk briefly about the works that are currently taking place at the site, and then Steve later on will provide some further details from the contractor's perspective. So as we've previously said, the tower was badly damaged during the fire, significantly in some places, and systematically and in phases. Since 2017, there's been a comprehensive process of installing props, which are structural supports inside the building to support the damaged areas. The most recent phase of that process is to install steel props. So they are supplementing the aluminium props, which have already been installed. That activity began last summer and will continue through to next summer, and involves quite a lot of work, but predominantly inside the tower. So you might see some increased deliveries of steel props and vehicles to the site, but much of the work is taking place within the protective wrapping. There are some activities that you may see, which include finalising some works at the very top of the tower to make sure that the roof is waterproof ahead of the wintry weather. And contractors are also carrying out some maintenance work to the hoarding, and at the moment that's focusing on the area along Grenfell Walk. You may have seen in recent weeks some works and excavation near Kensington Leisure Centre and across the green space outside the leisure centre. Those works are associated with moving the electricity substation from the base of Grenfell Tower to a new location. RBKC, the local authority, are leading on those works with UK Power Networks and anticipate those being complete in the February of 2022. And we're working closely with them throughout the works. In addition, some other activities that you may see near the site are some soil excavations and sampling at Treadgold House and Avondale Park. That's also being conducted by RBKC and their contractors AECOM, and that's in connection with the findings of the Phase 2 environmental testing work. And those two sites have been identified as areas for further sampling to enable the council to determine the next steps. So I'll hand back over. Oh, sorry, I think there's one more slide for me, isn't there? Thank you. The other thing that I thought it would be helpful to just spend a couple of minutes explaining this time is around the tower banner illuminations. So the banner at the top of the tower is illuminated each evening. Currently, that illumination takes place between 4 p.m. and 11 p.m. And we'll be adjusting those timings on a regular basis according to the natural light levels, and also we've adjusted it recently to take account of the change to the clocks as well. And then as a forward look, as we have done in previous years, the tower will be fully illuminated in green to mark the 4.5 years since the tragedy, and that will take place on the 14th of December between 4 p.m. and 11 p.m. So I'll hand back over now to Suzanne.
Thank you. Just at that moment, an opportunity to hopefully remind you of health and wellbeing services that are available locally for anyone who might feel affected by any issues in relation to the tower or the site. Hopefully you're familiar with the enhanced health checks that are available for people in the local area, and those are bookable through your GP. Also, the Grenfell Health and Wellbeing Service, the details are available on the screen, or again, please let us know if you require the details of that. And then for bereaved and survivor families, there is help available through your dedicated service worker. And all of those are through the NHS. I'm now going to hand over to Steve from DUK, our principal contractor working on the site.
Thank you, Suzanne. Good evening. DUK have been involved in the Grenfell Tower project since the tragedy and has subsequently been awarded the main contract works in July of this year. I'm Steve and I'm project manager for DUK and have been based on the site since May of 2020. And so along with the current site team, we have extensive knowledge of the structure. Our current works include the continual maintenance and checking of the 4,000 props within the tower, and monitoring of the structure and the installation of newer steel props. We've also repaired the roof coverings to maintain the building's weather tightness and are currently removing equipment from the roof level. Also, we've painted the hoardings and introduced a few hanging baskets to bring some colour to the main gates. A very important part of our work is also to provide and promote long-term sustainable solutions to the community. And we do this through social value, well-being initiatives, and the environment. The social value is that we're bringing, along with local agencies and the community, a provision of 30 jobs and 6 apprentice opportunities to the unemployed, over 18s, with work on other DE Group business sites within zones 1 and 2. So far, we have appointed 4 apprentices and they are working with us currently. We're also helping unemployed construction-related workers to be potentially more employable within the industry. We have regular training sessions near the site, which also may benefit the community, such as first aid and manual handling, and we have spaces for the community to join us. We're engaging with the community to discover ways that we can assist with their projects and some of their needs. We also provide periodic clearing up crews around the site periphery to collect mainly litter, but also to provide reasonable assistance if approached by the community. On the environmental side, we've installed PIR, passive infrared controls on the site lighting within the offices and the welfare and the exterior, and also a rainwater harvesting tank such that we can take the rainwater from the roof and reuse the water for site activities. We will be organising carbon literacy lectures within local schools and higher education colleges to bring the environment and impacts that we all have on carbon usage. Thank you. If I could hand to Anjani, please.
Thanks, Steve. So I'm going to talk to you a bit more about social values, or local opportunities, as we also like to refer to them. Social value is a positive difference made to a community by an organisation working there. It's about making a long-term sustainable improvements for a local community that have a social, economic and environmental impact. Things that benefit you, your family, your community and your area, such as training and apprenticeships or supporting local businesses. So Steve's just mentioned and given us a few examples of the work that they've been doing. Bringing social value to a community is an important part of the role of the contractor in the public sector. We'd like to know if you would be interested in getting involved. What do you think about this? Would you like to get involved? How regularly would you like to attend something like this? These are the sorts of things we're keen to understand from you so that we can make sure that we approach this in a way that works for you. What benefits would you like to see for your community? What can the principal contractor DUK do that would benefit your area? We're having some meetings with DUK and community groups where we discuss which opportunities DUK prioritises so that as much of the community as possible can benefit. We're also gathering views and preferences from the community, and we're reporting back on how the new benefits and opportunities are working out. If you would like to get involved in shaping social value opportunities, you can talk to us directly or share any concerns or ask questions. Our email is grenfelltowersite@communities.gov.uk. You can also contact us on 0303 444 0011. I'll now hand over to Suzanne.
Thank you, Ange. So that concludes the sort of information that we wanted to share this evening. We are very happy to take questions for anyone on the panel. Thanks, Joe. Let me just run through the last slide and then we will get to you. So that can be either sort of written in the chat function or raise your hand and then we will come to you. And then if we will, seek to publish answers to information for anyone who can't be here this evening, because they may be interested as well. And then I'll just summarise our sort of how people can get in touch with us. So we've just got on the final slide our contact details. Ange ran through our email address and phone number at the bottom of the screen. And also to flag that we are doing twice weekly drop-ins for face-to-face conversations. Those are on Wednesdays and Fridays at Bay 20 and at the Curve. And then we do these online Q&A opportunities every month. So the next one is on the 7th of December. And again, the contact details, join-in information is there and will be publicised locally. So thank you very much for listening and joining this evening. That concludes the presentation, but we're happy to take any questions